You won't believe how this story began. Like something straight out of a movie, a boy named Kene Holliday, born June 25th, 1940, in Copiague, Long Island, was just another kid growing up in a Christian home. His family was tight-knit and faithful. They prayed together, worked hard, and lived simple lives. But destiny took an unexpected turn when Kene was just 12 years old. His father, the strongest man in his life, suddenly passed away. That moment broke something inside of him, but it also lit a fire. His mother, though heartbroken, didn't stop pushing him. She became both parents and told him he had to keep going, no matter what. Let me tell you, this is where it gets interesting. Kene was not just a normal student. He became a local sports legend. On the football field, he was a scoring machine. On the track, he was lightning fast. They called him Mr. Hot Shot. He broke records and snatched trophies like it was nothing. He had everything: looks, talent, charm. People said he was going to be a star, and they were right. In 1967, he graduated from high school and got a full scholarship to the University of Maryland. It was a dream come true for a kid from Long Island. Education and talent were his passport to something bigger. But here's the shocking part. Even though he had the world in his hands, he made a decision that changed everything. During his college years, the football team went through some trouble. The coaching staff changed and the players wanted to strike. Kene looked at all of it and said, "Nah, I'm done." He walked away from the game just like that. And that's when he stumbled into something completely unexpected. A friend convinced him to take a theater history class. At first, it was just a class, but soon it became a passion. This is how Kene Holliday fell in love with acting. It grabbed him like nothing else ever had. He started small, doing stage plays, learning the craft, but Kene wasn't just another actor. He had fire in him. In 1969, he shocked everyone by becoming the first Black student to land a leading role on the college's main stage. It was a big moment. He was making history, breaking boundaries. And while he was making waves on stage, something else was sneaking into his life: drugs. He started dabbling, just a little at first. You know how it goes. A little bit here, a little more there. But that little habit grew quietly in the background like a shadow waiting to take over. After college, Kene got a chance to join the Folger Shakespeare Library's theater group in D.C. It was a prestigious opportunity. He was also one of the founding members of the D.C. Black Repertory Company. He led workshops, performed major roles, and was quickly becoming a respected figure in the theater world. But here's the thing. While he was rising, the addiction was rising too. You couldn't always see it, but it was there. Slowly, it started to control his choices. And then in 1975, disaster hit. He lost his job, just like that. Fired because of his struggles with drugs and alcohol. But here's what makes this story different. Even after losing everything, Kene didn't stop acting. He found ways to keep going. He took a role in David Rabe's Streamers at the Lincoln Theater and crushed it. That performance opened new doors, and soon Hollywood came calling. He packed his bags and moved to Los Angeles, chasing bigger dreams. He started getting guest roles on huge shows: Quincy, The Jeffersons, Lou Grant, and more. He even became the voice of Roadblock in G.I. Joe. His deep, smooth voice became iconic. Viewers loved him. Producers wanted him. Everything seemed perfect. But that shadow, the addiction, it never left. It followed him to LA and waited for the right moment to strike again. At the height of his career, Kene Holliday was on fire. He wasn't just getting roles, he was owning them. One day, out of nowhere, he got a call that would change his life again. It was from two big names, Fred Silverman and Dean Hargrove. These were the guys behind some of TV's biggest hits. And guess what? They didn't just want him for any role. They wanted him to star alongside Andy Griffith in Matlock. That's right. Kene was chosen to play Tyler Hudson, Matlock's sharp and dependable private investigator. Now, Let me tell you, Matlock was no small-time show. It was huge. And Keene, he brought charm, presence, and heart to the role. Audiences loved him. The chemistry between him and Andy Griffith was electric. Suddenly, Keene wasn't just a good actor, he was a household name. People started recognizing him in public. The fame, the money, the praise, it all came fast. But here's the craziest part. While his star was rising, his addiction was silently digging its claws in deeper. You see, the drugs and alcohol didn't just go away when the cameras turned on. Behind the scenes, things were falling apart. Keene started missing episodes. First, it was small, showing up late, forgetting lines. But soon, it got worse. By season 3, he had skipped 7 episodes. Producers were frustrated. Co-stars were worried. Keene was trying to juggle fame and addiction, but it was slipping out of control. He entered outpatient rehab, hoping to fix things while still working. But the damage had been done. And this is where it gets heartbreaking. The role that made him famous was taken away. He was fired from Matlock. Just like that. One minute he was a star, the next he was on the outside looking in. All because of something he couldn't shake. Addiction had robbed him of the biggest opportunity of his career. People who once cheered for him started whispering. Hollywood moved on. And Keene, he was left in the shadows. But here's the thing that most people don't know. While his career was falling apart, his personal life was in chaos too. Keene had been married to Jennifer Baker. She wasn't just his wife, she was the mother of his first child. Their love had history, but even that wasn't enough to survive the storm. Jennifer passed away in 1985, and the loss hit Keene like a wrecking ball. Not long after, he remarried, this time to Dolly Holliday, and they had another child together. But addiction doesn't care about love. The relationship crumbled, and they eventually divorced. Word on the street? His substance abuse played a big part in the breakup. Now, this is where it gets interesting. With his career in ruins, his family broken, and his name forgotten by Hollywood, most people would have disappeared. But not Keene. Because what makes this story different is what came next. After losing nearly everything, his career, his marriage, his public image, Kene Holliday found himself at rock bottom. But instead of giving up, he did something most people wouldn't dare. He chose to fight back. He stepped away from the noise, the fame, the red carpets, and focused on healing. Kene knew that if he didn't change, he wouldn't survive. And so he turned to the only thing that never left him, his faith. Let me tell you, this part of his journey wasn't easy. Kene had to face his demons head on. No more pretending, no more covering it up. He entered a long, painful process of recovery. It took him 14 years to finally break free from addiction. Can you imagine the strength that takes? Every day was a battle. Every day he had to choose between falling back or moving forward, but he stayed strong and slowly, step by step, he rebuilt his life from the ashes. This is how Kene found love again, this time the real kind. He met Linda Copling, and this wasn't just another chapter. This was the beginning of a whole new book. Linda stood by him, believed in him, and helped him rediscover his purpose. Together, they traveled across the country for 10 years, not for fame or fortune, but to spread gospel music. That's right, the same man who once lit up TV screens now stood in churches, pouring his heart out through songs of hope and redemption. But here's the shocking part. Kene didn't stop there. He also found his voice as a writer. He released a poetry book, The Contemporary Poetics of Kene Holliday. And it wasn't just poems, it was pain, truth, and wisdom poured onto every page. People started to see a different side of him. Not just an actor, not just a voice, but a soul who had been through it all and came out stronger. And then life gave him one more challenge. His mother fell ill with Alzheimer's. Now, some people would have hired help, but Kene, he dropped everything and became her full-time caregiver. For years, he cared for her, stood by her side, and used his story to help others. He joined the Alzheimer's Foundation of America and used his platform to raise awareness. That's when people really began to understand who Kene Holliday truly was. And just when you thought his acting career was over, the most unexpected thing happened. In 2007, a small budget film called Great World of Sound needed a lead actor. No big salary, no major backing, just a chance. Kene took the role, not for money, but for the love of storytelling. And guess what? He crushed it. Crushed it. The film won awards, and Kene was honored with Best Actor at the Newport International Film Festival. Can you believe it? After all those years, he came back quietly, powerfully, with grace. After decades of struggle, healing, and quiet strength, Kene Holliday emerged not just as a survivor, but as an example. He had spent 19 years sober, and every one of those years told a story of discipline, grace, and faith. And here's what makes this story different. Kene didn't just return to life, he transformed it. He turned every loss into a lesson, every scar into strength. You won't believe the kind of life he built after the spotlight faded. Instead of chasing more TV roles or awards, Kene focused on creating impact. He spoke at churches, recovery groups, and schools. He appeared on talk shows not to promote a film, but to tell the raw, unfiltered truth about addiction, redemption, and starting over. He knew there were others out there fighting the same demons he once did, and he became their voice, their proof that change is possible. But here's the craziest part. Kene never stopped growing. He became deeply involved in using art for social awareness. One of his biggest contributions was through theater, educating audiences about HIV/AIDS. That's right, he used the stage, not for applause, but for awareness. He brought tough, real-life issues to the forefront, combining his gift of performance with his passion for purpose. He also embraced something else that shocked people: golf. Yep, the man who once played soldiers and private investigators on screen was now hooked on golf. He loved it. It became his therapy, his peace. It reminded him that life isn't about rushing, it's about control, focus, and balance, things he learned the hard way. And financially, Kene wasn't some washed-up actor clinging to memories. His net worth sat at a cool $3 million. But he never flaunted it. He lived simply, respectfully, still showing up in small towns like Lafayette, Louisiana, where people were stunned by his humility and kindness. No flash, no ego, just a man proud of how far he'd come. Even at 75, he kept working, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. His heart was in every word he spoke, every project he touched. He wasn't chasing the past, he was building a better present. And that right there is where his story becomes a legacy. So what makes this story different? It's not just about success, failure, and recovery. It's about reinvention. It's about refusing to let your worst moment define your future. Kene Holliday didn't just survive Hollywood, he outgrew it. He turned pain into power and silence into strength. And let me tell you, if you ever feel like life has knocked you down too many times, remember this name. Because the journey of Kene Holliday is proof that no matter how far you fall, with faith, grit, and honesty, you can rise again.